allow the children to have the budget every year.
It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay.
She
Off your mind. Off
like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go sama us call am hate speech. But fear not, Maiyegun don come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don come, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don come, oh yo yo.
Is by any chance two segments on the program this afternoon. So we will be continuing the reading of our white malice because we have other books that have also arrived, which I believe will keep us busy, catching up on the history that they probably would not be happy that some of this this younger generation are going to be interested now. And they are not just going to be interested in reading. They are going to be acting based on many of their discoveries. So yes, we will come back to that. That's the phase 2. So the first half an hour of this brunch time is going to be this blasphemy or blasphemous statement from Doyin Okupe. So last night, Doyin Okupe was on Channels Television, okay? And it was practically like the usual, where everyone is there to try and whitewash Thiefnubu. I don't think anyone is by any chance to be surprised anymore, okay? By some of those who pretended to be with you or fighting for a new Nigeria in a corrupt contraption and a corrupt system like that of Nigeria. So some of them are already coming out of their shell now, and many of you felt like, I can't believe this. Oh my God. Anyway, Doyin, I think he likes to be called evangelist, I've been a doctor. But let's call him Okupe. It is easier that way. Was one of the first set of people that left with Peter Obi when they left PDP to go and join which party? Doyin Okupe was, in fact, one of the ringleaders of those who negotiated the Peter Obi movement to Labour Party. You see, while the whole thing started, gathering storm, I think they just pulled his card, the card of his compromise. He is a thief, okay? That is hibernating. He should be in prison. For some reason, he's been hibernating here and there, off and on from court, like Faulishe, right? Now, it was like a redemption for some of them. You see, when obedient, if you're obedient watching me right now, this is not an effort to make you feel bad about yourselves, okay? Because a lot of you actually knew all these guys. But at the time, when all of you were having that rush, the rush for, yes, we can spirits, right? You considered even the confirmed criminals in Nigeria as allies, remember? And you considered their involvement in the effort to get rid of this criminal enterprise as a redemption for them. Doyin Okupe was one of them. So it didn't take long before they pulled the string and said, "So you are going too fast. So you are taking this thing serious. The effort is to try to sort of, lead him astray enough that this whole noise would die naturally. So the case of Okupe's corruption case popped up in the middle of the election or in the middle of the campaign. Cut the long story short, he was forced to resign from Peter Obi's presidential campaign or anything that has to do with Peter Obi at all. And he disappeared. Until after Yakubu made announcement of Kolu as your president-elect, 4 a.m. in the morning. Okupe never showed his face again since 2022, sometimes around there, July, August 2022. He never showed up again, even during the election and afterward, until after. And then when he came out, he was pretty much like coming to say, Peter Obi can never really win. Presidential campaign chairman. You are coming out now to say you knew that Peter Obi this or that. Sure, you get all kind of statements like that. Thiefnubu has been he has been dreaming to be president for 30 years. The obedient movement was just like, it can't just achieve and defeat such person within just 1 year. Coming from the man that was the arrowhead of those who ignited and activated the euphoria, or sorry, the optimism that came with the obedient movement. The person that was one of those who turned on the ignition came out later to say, oh, it was never really going to be. Well, people were not surprised. Some were shocked, but many were not. It was like, well, it's like the case of a puppet and the puppet master, right? The puppeteer and the puppet master, right? So his corruption, then people were saying, oh, he was trying to avoid jail. But that was fair until yesterday when Donyo Okupe, you know what they say about old people? Sorry, foolish people also get old. It is true. And that is why you should never let anybody try to blackmail you or gaslight you with anything when you are calling out known, identified career criminals. Doesn't matter if they are old or young. Because you see all these young ones now who are prompt eaters, ass lickers, or ricers that you are seeing everywhere today. The younger thugs, the younger criminals, political criminals who are aspiring to be like their mentors that they have everywhere today. One day they will grow old too, and they would expect the lives of they were expected the millions of lives that they would kind of destroy to still respect them. You know that. So back to Donyo Okupe. I mean, if you don't understand that, that actually has to get you, if you by any means get angry, it simply means that you are a closet voluntary slave, and a closet would be career criminal, political career criminal, so to say. So that's why you're going to get upset. A very close person to me sent me a message yesterday, and the message is from somebody who's like an Elegbon, who lives in the US. So he kind of was asking this my close friend to try and talk to me. Why don't you just try and talk to him to stop calling Thiefnubu? And that one responded that, well, sorry, I can't really tell him, but you can pick up the phone and call him and tell him yourself on his program. Egbon, if you are watching, you should pick up the phone and call me and say to me yourself, I should stop calling Thiefnubu. because it doesn't portray me as Omoluabi. Egbon, your generation is the reason why we are here today. And one of the things that we have done, or we are trying to really do, is to remind all the young ones not to listen to people like you. Majority of you don't know that if you are in your 50s and you are in your 60s or you are in your 70s, you do not have any right to advise us anymore. I think it is time for some of you, the elderly ones, to understand it. And when I say advise us, I mean you do not have any right to gaslight or blackmail us into believing that somehow you earn any respect that will make us respect those who are responsible for the tragedy that we have today. You do not have any right to tell us how to speak, what to say, when to say them, and you should drop that nonsense about respect. Your generation never respected us. I'm talking about those of you who knows, who are friends in all of these political stores for years now. Many of you made your money from them too. So you do not have any right to demand respect from us or tell us or define what is Omoluabi to us. Because majority of you are a bunch of criminals yourselves who just escaped justice because of a place you are. You told us, you the older generation, you told us that we must kind of be godly in our ways. We must be honest. We must avoid anything that is criminal. We must protect our names and the name of our families. But today, you are biased. You are baufos, agbaoshis. You are trying to tell us now that it is all right to be drug dealers, right? It's actually okay that we could skip schools and forge certificates and give ourselves any kind of academic title that we want. Is that what you are saying to us? Right? So what you are saying to us is that it is a good thing to feel comfortable in looting public fund and impoverishing the people in the process. As long as we can get away with it and share the money with some of you, that is the Omoluabi. That's not Omoluabi. And therefore, Egbon, if you can, pick up the phone, and I'll say this to you myself. Because people like you don't have any reason to advise us. You have no right to even tell us that we have no respect. If you respect yourselves, you won't leave that trash of a country, and you will never support those who are actually making it worse. So say that, my dear brethren. If you see any elderly person telling you that you have no respect for these rogues and criminals, tell them that if they feel offended, well, they should possibly do the right thing and talk to their friends. Because right now, our future, just the same way you mortgage the future of your own generation, you have been mortgaging the future of the generation since after the ones after you. Look at this generation, the 5th, 6th generation after independence. We are now being led straight into poverty. More are going to be led into poverty. But you are offended because I call Thiefnubu. If you are watching this, I told him to give me your name. He won't give me your name, but you know yourself if you watch this, because it seems you can't stop watching me. And that is why when I say things on MaiyegunsDiary Politico, okay, I say them because I know those who are closet supporters of these criminals. When you come around and talk about how bad the whole situation is, they are comfortable with you. They want you to talk about the problems. They don't want you to talk about the people behind the problems. And even if you have to talk about the people behind the problems, they want you to do so with respect. How dare you demand respect for somebody like us? With a trashy country that you have left, a divided country that you have left. So your generation is an irresponsible generation. We are grateful to those from your generation who have kind of like, they discovered that and they've known their place. You do not have any right to advise us. Continue destroying it, and we will continue calling it out until the entire system that sustained that madness is totally destroyed. Do you understand? So don't ever let anybody blackmail you or gaslight you, demanding respect for criminals. When they say any stupid things, respond to them in the like manner. They do not deserve any respect. These are people who have no fear of God when it comes to, they said when a country that has their leaders, the leaders actually plan for the future generations. It's only Nigeria that you have criminals who's only planning their life every day is the next election. Why lives are being ruined. Then turn around and say, don't you have elders at home? You lack home training. Don't you know that Omoluabi Yoruba doesn't talk like that? She Omoluabi Yoruba defend is it the right thing for Omoluabi Yoruba to defend a drug dealer, to defend certificate forgers, to defend the treasury looters? Is that Omoluabi? Any kuresa, if you are still watching. However, the likes of Donyo Okupe, they are also elders. Okay? Elders alatenuje. You will see some of those you see today. Already, that's why I said that what you have in Nigeria is the collection of criminals of all kinds, right? In charge of the country, running it, or should we say ruining it, and at the same time, right, wanted to be respected. You can't have it both. We are not stupid. Yeah, said it yesterday. The only thing that is working for these criminals in Nigeria is because the people are disorganized. People are not stupid. But they will be organized. We will organize eventually. And then when people are organized, when they kind of put themselves together, they will put an end to all of this. Okay? So Donyo Okupe was Goodluck Egbere Jolantan's special advisor. He was the same guy who said Nigerians should be grateful for locomotive trains, because if Jonathan chooses not to do it, there's nothing anybody can do about it. I remember that. So Donyo Okupe was on channels, like I said yesterday, and indeed he was giving his views. But the next thing he said was that Thiefnubu is like Jesus Christ. It's an analogy. But usually when you use that kind of analogy, like so person is like Muhammad, that one so person is like Jesus, it is a pure blasphemy. But I think in Nigeria, they are more comfortable to do their blasphemy against Christians, because they know they are the only ones that will never put fatwa on them. Fatwa is when they put death sentence on you for insulting Islam or the Prophet. If you compare the Prophet with anyone, that shouldn't be you can't even compare the Prophet with anyone. It is blasphemy, and they will put a fatwa on you. In Nigeria, they know that. Politicians in Nigeria, when they want to act godly or religiously, then perpetuating blasphemy, this is when they call God this, God that, Jesus this, Jesus that. They do not believe in that, but they usually throw it into the box. You get that? But when you go as far as comparing a politician to Jesus Christ, that's blasphemy, right? But he said, this is a thing, okay? For those who are deliberately pushing the narrative that Thiefnubu has removed subsidy, these are dangerous people, and they know what they are doing. These are people that do not deserve any respect, especially if they are actually like older people. who deliberately, intentionally goes on national television to repeat a lie. And because they can repeat the lie again and again and again, well, it's probably going to be the truth. There are still some section of Nigeria that believes that Thiefnubu has removed subsidy right now, including educated people who still believe that. And you know why? Because they have people like Okupe going everywhere, repeating the lie. Thiefnubu himself repeating the lie, but yet the available fact contradicts that. Do you know now that they said the transparency about Nigerian spending in the last 1 year has now dropped to over 86%? You know what that means? It means that Thiefnubu and his gang, like they did in Lagos, they are only allowing Nigerians and the world to actually lay their hands on documents or available financial evidence of their spending and everything, right? Only 14%. Everything you are reading about and all of that, right? They have shielded them in secrecy. Okay? And since they won't let you have access to those documents, then you cannot hold them to, you can't really hold them to anything. That's what they have done in Lagos. You'll be hearing about the billions and trillions, but you'll be hearing about the project this, project that, but you will never be able to lay your hand on the verified documents, okay, on that particular subject. Since you can't have it, even if you ask for the freedom of information, let me give you an example. Let's say they are doing Iyanopaja. No, not Iyanopaja. They are doing Oshodi to Orile. That's a long one, right? No, I'm looking for something shorter. Okay, they are doing Ilupeju bypass to Koka, okay, in Lagos. And it says it is just 2-kilometer road. And it's going to cost them, 2-kilometer road, though, it's going to cost them 15 billion. That means 7.5 billion per kilometer in the budget, Lagos State budget of 2021. Now, when you go and check the Lagos State budget of 2022, you will still see Ilupeju bypass to Koka. This time around, 25 billion. Maybe you can say, but we saw that this was budgeted for 15 billion last year. Here they didn't do it in it. They will tell you that they wrote it. I mean, they wrote it in that budget doesn't mean that they did it then. This is the time they want to do it. But guess what? You will know that they have paid out that 15 billion last year. Okay? And they're about to pay 25 billion naira out this year on the same road, though. But you will not be able to, they won't release the, their audited statement, except the one they do themselves. They will go and do editing themselves, doctor, and release that. But when you ask for the freedom of information to release the procurement information from the procurement team, you will never get anything back. Now they have transferred that to Abuja now. Very soon now, you know what they call in Ijebu? They say na etiba yo ni obìnrin ma fi ngbo ohun oro. They say na here woman they take hear the sound of oro. Okay, which means woman cannot see oro face to face. So you'll be hearing billions, trillions, billions, trillions, and you'll be seeing duplicated project like that. Transparency will become zero. For now, transparency in Abuja has reduced to 14% under Thiefnubu. So that is why educated people who saw the warning of IMF that despite the fact that Thiefnubu removed subsidy and the price of petroleum jumped to what it is now, 2 months after he announced that, they've been paying it again. In fact, this time around, they are paying more than double what Bokwari was paying. That fact, that evidence is out there. Thiefnubu is borrowing money, subsidizing dollars for supposed oil marketers. Who are the oil marketers? It's NNPC Nigeria. So Okupe went on the TV to tell Nigerians that for 20 years, successive governments in Nigeria, they have attempted to remove subsidy but they've not succeeded. Except Thiefnubu. That the reason why all of you are hating him now is because he did what nobody wanted to do. According to him, Okupe said, it is like the time when God was asking the angels who was going to go to the ark and die for the sins of man. And all of the angels, they were running away. They were running away. Only Jesus offered and volunteered to come and die. That is exactly what Thiefnubu has done for you. But you won't understand. Isn't that blasphemy? I'm not religious, but is that not blasphemy? If you think I am lying, then maybe you should listen.
No administration in Nigeria has ever beaten the bullet that Bola Tinubu beat. Nobody. Because for the past 20 years, everybody has been dodging the ball, dodging the bullet. The issue of fuel subsidy during campaign, everybody agreed that it must go. It was wasteful spending, you know. And they say that Bola Tinubu, without thinking, on the day of inauguration, he announced it. If he did not announce it, he would never have been able to do it. Because if he says, oh, we're going to remove fuel subsidy, but we're going to do it, if he didn't on that day, he would never have been able to do it, and he would have been forced by labor, by media, by opposition, by students, and all sorts of people, and, you know, with the fear of the hardship and the pain we're going to go through and all that, he would never have been able to do it. And yet somebody, you know, it's like, I always, you know, I'm an evangelist now, I must say, this in heaven, when God was saying, who is going to go for us? You know, that is somebody has to come and be crucified for the world. And Jesus Christ said, send me. That's what Bola Tinubu has done. He has sent himself into this quagmire, into this doldrum, into this financial and economic disaster that was on ground before he came. He's just trying to find his way out. Do you understand my point?
When Jesus came down, he died and he rose. He was able to conquer death.
That's savior of the world.
Yes.
Bola Tinubu is not savior of the world.
Do you think that he will be able to rise? Do you think he will be able? I'm talking about Mr. President Tinubu right now. Do you think he will make it out of this?
Let me share an example. Let me tell you, I know people are going to say I'm saying something. There's nothing wrong in saying something nice about somebody you know. Let me tell you something I've not shared before. And it's not even surprising. On the 21st of March in 2022, I put up, I was at that time running for president myself under PDP, if you remember. And I said, if Bola Tinubu wins, I never gave him a chance. If Bola Tinubu wins the primaries, that he will do well. And that he was perhaps going to be the second best person to me. That's what I said. But you know, that's because I know.
I don't know if it's just me. It looked sort of like a shrunk. And he looks sick as well. Now, he could have said anything. Like, go there, it won't be the first. Go there, say all the nice things about Thiefnubu, repeat the lies, you know, and all of that stuff. And then, yeah. But why would you compare him to Jesus Christ? Like, me now. I know people say it is like a figure of speech and all of that stuff. But now. So now back to another way they are consoling themselves. Let us tell ourselves, Peter Obi said he's going to remove subsidy. Atiku said he's going to remove subsidy. Why is everybody now complaining? If it was Atiku now, he will remove it. If it was Obina, he will remove it. You see this one, is called reverse psychology. Sure you get now. Reverse psychology is to say, instead of saying, Omo, Abanla error, at a misjudge, man. The mistake. I actually thought, even though it was obvious that this guy has nothing to offer, I actually thought that maybe I should, I mean, you know, with the right people around him, it would do better. But now, bad disaster, instead of admitting, no, they don't want to admit. Okay, instead of saying Thiefnubu has failed, though, they will say, well, what would Obi do better? What is Obi going to do differently? Waiting at Thief could go do differently. Is it not the same thing? Baba, leave Atiku, leave Obi. Okay? Face this one. This is Melokon, the one that told Edo, all the so-called Yahoo boy, that he's going to start, they will begin to make chips. Have you forgotten that?
Turn the so-called Yahoo boys to experts in manufacturing and creation of chips that intercept and all.
Did you get that? All the so-called Yahoo boy will turn them into manufacturing of chips and then compensate you. I swear that was what he said the last one. You would never understand what the last thing he said there, right? Edo Yahoo boy.
Turn the so-called Yahoo boys to experts in manufacturing and creation of chips that intercept and all.
Did you hear that? Turn the so-called Yahoo boy into manufacturer of chips and same consequence with the interpretation person. Anyway, so just a bit of a touch, okay? Obi said he would remove subsidy, right? And it is going to be in phase and phases. Okay, first, he would like to know where the money is actually going, right? Then cut it down by half and use that on you, the robbed Nigerians. Invest in your refineries and make few of them or as many of them as possible to start working. Then finally, it will remove the subsidy. The last 50%. Thiefnubu said there is no budget for subsidy. The subsidy is gone. And your entire economy took a 360-degree turn. Okay? So, the likes of Okupe, right, who probably because of the compromise on him, right, would blaspheme against Jesus, okay, at will. He did it 9 years ago too, in case if you need to remember. This was Okupe 9 years ago when he called good luck Egbere Jonathan, Jesus Christ too.
There are political issues, look, people do not understand what this particular president, the body this president is bearing. It's like Jesus Christ, he's bearing the body of everybody.
We're running out of time, but
that was Okupe in 2015. See, you people don't understand the burden that this president is carrying. It's like Jesus Christ. Hey, Mr. We are running out of time. Okay, then. Okay. If they give him another 2 minutes, he will repeat the same thing he just said about Thiefnubu yesterday. I like it, Thiefnubu, the drug dealer, heroin trafficker, certificate forger, treasury looter, is compared to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Well, Okupe didn't stop there. He has one or two things to say. He said he told Peter Obi that because the who is who in Nigeria, they were not with him. They had no chance of winning. So seeing him with Atiku is fine, but he doesn't think that is for any reason useful anymore. It is too late for any merger or alliance, something like that. But listen to this part.
It's all this gallivanting. It's not going to get it. It will make you relevant. It will make you known, but it's not going to get you votes. When Awolowo lost the presidential election, he was known all over Nigeria. In every nook and cranny of northern Nigeria, my father was part of the Awolowo thing. They told me that they were there. They went there with bicycles, with mattresses, with all sorts of things. But when the elections results were read, it was MPC 1,000, Action Group Bakodaya, that is not one. So, that is not the issue. Nobody can become president of Nigeria by just, rough riding over people. No, Nigerian presidents have been involved in about 3 or so, how they emerge. It's by negotiations and stakeholder participation. And that is the truth. There was a time in this country, at least I know about 2 times, that only 5 people, whether you like it or not, this is what we know and we hold to be true, decided who the president of Nigeria was going to be. Only 5 people. And we know them, we see them, we work with them. Things are changing now, but still stakeholders must be taken care of. At the height of our acceptability, when I was working with Peter, it was as if we have taken over the entire country. Even people in APC and PDP surreptitiously contacted or doing, you people are doing well, don't forget me. I'm telling you, senior people, but I was not fooled. I called Peter and, it's on my phone. I have the message here. I said, Peter, we're doing very well, but this is not going to win us the election. I said, because less than 10% of the Nigerian stakeholders are with us. We can't win. And if we win, they will take it. Because, the stakeholders are the Nigerian elites, the judiciary, the soldier, the businessmen. So if we only have 10%, that means their interest is not coterminous with ours. And they don't have any vested interest or stake in our movement. I said, we are not going to win.
You like that he's meeting up with Atiku Abubakar right now for some sort of...
I've just told you, that is the only political thing he has done in one year.
What do you think the PDP should do? Should he take him back?
I can't tell PDP what to do.
What do you think would give Peter Obi victory in 2027 if he wants to be president?
Joining the PDP only enhances his chances. I've just told you, becoming the Nigerian president is more than chance enhancement. It is much more than that. There are a lot of issues. I mean, somebody says, should Thinubu be afraid? If Thinubu knows his own, if I was Thinubu, let Obi join PDP and join NPP and put everything together. They cannot defeat me. It's not possible. I'm the president. It's not going to happen. If you know what you're doing.
You don't think he's going to be able to win the elections, even in 2027?
I'm not saying that. I'm not God. Only God can say that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying the grounds.
Based on the grounds that it's impossible?
If, for instance, the best thing that can happen to Obi is for him to be the presidential candidate of PDP. All right? And then maybe he picks his VP from the north. That is the best, quintessentially, most enormous thing that can happen. That does not guarantee victory.
Now, dissecting what he said, okay, it is like an indictment to say, oh, all of you who are thinking you are important, you are citizen, oh, you are going to choose your leader, you are just deceiving yourselves. Only 5 people will decide who will become the president of Nigeria. It is always like that. If only 10% of the stakeholders are with us, we cannot win. Peter, you cannot win. Elders in here, our elders, Nigeria, and look at the man that can win. The one that has all of the stakeholders on his side, but not the voters. So the one that has the voters on his side cannot win because he has no stakeholders on his side. By the way, what is wrong with Doyin Okupe there now? Like, it looks like it's old age, or is that a man already like, I don't know, like he looks sick. Except if he's just recovering from a very, really looks sick. Because if you look at Doyin in 2015, that was 9 years ago. This one that I showed you earlier. Again,
there are political issues. There are political, look.
That was 9 years ago. Look at his face, right? Then look at him now.
All this gallivanting. It's not going to get it. It will make you relevant. It will make you known, but it's not going to get you votes.
But that's some level of changes there. I wish him what he wishes himself. All right. So there are people who decide who become president, not your vote, not your all this and yeah. And you still want to be part of that. No. Then you cannot be the president of Nigeria without recognizing the criminal structure that Obi said must be destroyed. So it's going to need the criminal structure. It's not just your vote. Your vote is pretty much like secondary, or more like irrelevant, or pretty much like just a validation. Now people, they decide who will become what. In the contraption, they said, now your country. Now I'm not saying you should take his word for it too. But it is kind of right. It is just to show to you, okay, what you are up against whenever you say a new Nigeria is possible. The more things changes, the more they remain the same. You know that. Listen to Kalu from his meeting 2 days ago. Still, I told you I have a copy of this. Then after this, I'm going to, I'm coming.
Is with Gary. I saw you in Jigawa talking about weeds and all of that on TV. What is an elixir? Is housing industry that will create jobs. But until we secure those lands and create the opportunity, it is very, very difficult to actualize our dreams. We have to fight the security problem so that people can earn a decent living out of agriculture, housing, construction industry, and road development. Dear brothers and sisters, yes, I am in charge here today, but you are running a constitutional democracy. I will put to you to summon the governors summon them, call them up. I'm doing my best to improve the revenue of the country and giving them their dues. But they must equally be sympathetic to the populace, and they must consider the need of the local people. People reside in the local government. People are in the local community. That is where they reside. That is where they feed. That is where they garden. That is where they cook. That's where they farm. If the local government are not free, and the leaders don't hang on to the number, we have 774 local government. It's just a number. Is it effective? Is it reaching the real people? Who is being held accountable for this money? Maybe we should look and recalibrate. One version that was good 4 days, 4 years ago might not be good today. And when we won the votes, we go to the locals. When we get the vote, we move to Abuja. I think we have to collectively join hands. I need for you to get us a committee of people that can really embark on the campaign for our value to change. Our brothers and sisters, it is disheartening.
Nuisance, Lele.
Tani Brewer, Tani, your brothers and sisters. So yeah, that is that. I should probably get on with this. Let's go to chapter 6. Chapter 6, which is a part 2 of white malice. So I am going to read for maybe like an hour or an hour and a half. No, an hour. Then I'm going to take calls. So if you want to react to what the first segment or the first phase of this broadcast or this show this afternoon, you will have your own chance, okay? And that wants me to stop calling Thiefnubu, Egbon, it is not so busy in the afternoon like this, okay? Pick up the phone and say to me, I get your size here. Share you guys, sir. Pick up that phone and come and tell me to my face that I should stop calling Thiefnubu. Shegbo, sir. I will be expecting. But first, let's continue with the hidden stories of how the American CIA, FBI, or American government generally decided to infiltrate the independence movements in Africa as Africa poses as a threat, a future threat to the world power, America, if it was not grabbed after colonialism. So I am going to read, and to those of you who are possibly just joining, okay, please share the broadcast, okay? Share it. Copy the link. Send it to everyone that needs to possibly see this. And to those of you who have been following this already, share you get. This is chapter 6. We have covered the book up to the point where many black groups were put together in America by the CIA so as for them to partner and infiltrate the different ongoing at the time freedom movement or independence movement across Africa. So these different black groups, foundations, charity and others like that, right? So who sort of were sent to Africa, on their own, they were also recruiting and funding the lifestyles of artists, writers. They were organizing musical concerts. They were giving scholarships to Africans just to kind of build trust. But the main goal is to ensure that if Africa should have patriotic leadership, like those who were yearning for the freedom of their countries or independence of their country at the time, definitely that is going to possibly pose a bigger threat. So deny them good leadership and you can put all the threat away. That is where we were. And now we are going to continue. Chapter 6. Africa has become the real battleground. Prime Minister Nkrumah remained quietly within Christiansborg or Christiansborg Castle for much of the All African People's Conference. Even so, he was exerting a powerful influence through his meetings with delegates. He was introduced to Patrice Lumumba at the start of the week by George Padmore. Nkrumah had a strong sense of the significance of this meeting and wanted a photograph taken to record the event. I was waiting at Nkrumah's headquarters, recorded George Ausa, a delegate from the American Committee on Africa, when someone asked if the photographer was present. Apparently, it was not. But I had my camera on my shoulder and I offered to take the picture that Nkrumah wanted taken with himself and Lumumba. From that moment on, the two men took to each other and Nkrumah spent more time with Lumumba than with any other delegate. It was not an obvious partnership. They did not have a shared language. And Nkrumah, less than a year away from 50, was 15 years older than Lumumba. But they were similar in spirit. They were both hardworking, disciplined, and purposeful. Like Nkrumah, Lumumba was not a drinker and smoked rarely. And again, like Nkrumah, he had a sharp sense of humor and laughed loudly with a spontaneity. Lumumba had not had the opportunity to go to university, unlike Nkrumah, but he loved to read and study. According to a close friend, the shelves of his very small room swelled with books which themselves were filled with annotations indicative of his thirst for education. Nkrumah liked and admired Lumumba. He was also supportive of Lumumba's strong commitment to the development of the Congo as a multi-ethnic state, which mirrored his own commitment to non-tribalism. But his primary motive for befriending the younger man was his conviction that the Belgian Congo would be at the center of the Pan-Africanist struggle for the freedom of Africa. Before going to Accra, Lumumba had been wholly unknown outside the Belgian Congo. The movement National Congolese, MNC, had been set up just 2 months before the AAPC in October 1958 and was unknown to the conference and the conference planning committee. The committee had sent an official invitation to Joseph Kasavubu, an established Congolese politician. The stocky Kasavubu was the leader of the political party known as the Abako, the Alliance des Bakongo, which had been founded in 1950, principally to promote the language of the Congo people, but had evolved into a determined opponent of Belgian colonial rule. The plan for Lumumba to attend the Accra conference had been last minute and almost accidental. A team representing the Pan-African Freedom Movement of East and Central Africa, PAFMECA, including Tom Mboya, A.R. Muhammad Babu, and Kanyama Kiume, were on their way to Accra in October 1958 when their plane made a stopover in Leopoldville. While there, a staff member at the hotel where they were staying, who spoke Kiswahili, took them to meet Lumumba. They were impressed by him and determined to bring him to Accra. Together with fellow members of the MNC Gaston Diomi, and Joseph Ungalua. Funds were provided by Pameka, sorry. That's the PAFMECA, and also through the assistance of Bill Sutherland, an American pacifist who had been living in Ghana since 1953. Sutherland informed a fellow peace activist, the Belgian John van Lede, who helped with funds and logistics. Van Lede was to become a loyal friend to Lumumba. Give me a sec. Let me know if the reading is still all right. Okay. So as to make sure that I am not going too fast and not out of tune, so to say. Anyway, thank you so much once again. Please, if you are joining us at this moment, please share the broadcast, okay? We've had the first phase of the broadcast done, and that is what the title, the writer of the show itself says. Here is the second phase with our history reading. So I am going to open the line at some point, okay? But for now, share the broadcast. When Kasavubu arrived at Leopoldville's Undijili Airport en route to Accra, he was not allowed to proceed. The customs service told him that his inoculation certificates were not in order. Evidently, a strategy to prevent him from attending the conference. The Belgian government of the Congo had been furious about a powerful speech given earlier by Kasavubu, criticizing colonial rule. But Lumumba and his fellow members of the MNC were allowed to go. The colonial administration of the Congo had been opposed to allowing anyone to go to Accra, but on advice from Brussels, Hendrik Cornelis, the Governor General, gave permission. In any case, Cornelis had no reason to suspect that Lumumba would be a troublemaker, for he knew nothing about him. From the point of view of Lumumba and the MNC, it was a huge advantage that Kasavubu was forced to remain behind. For if he had attended the conference, it would have been far more difficult for Lumumba to assert himself and his new party as the voice of the Congolese people. Up to this point, Nkrumah's link with the Belgian Congo had been Kasavubu, and Ghana, wishing to support the Congolese struggle for freedom, had been sending funds to the Abaco. But now, as Nkrumah recorded later, Ghana's support for the Congo took a new turn with the consolidation of the new and more dynamic party, the Mouvement National Congolese, led by Patrice Lumumba. This was a new kind of political party in the Congo because, as indicated by its name, it sought to strike a national chord and to resist regional separation. Up to that time, political parties like the Abaco had represented local interests. Lumumba's political views were transformed over the course of 1958, culminating in the Accra Conference. In his early adult years, he had regarded colonialism as a positive force that would bring Western civilization to the Congolese people. Like Nkrumah, Lumumba grew up in a poor family. He was from the village of Onolua in Kasai, the same province in which the American John Stockwell spent his childhood. Stockwell was a CIA officer who was the chief of the agency's base in Katanga in the late 1960s. In 1975, he led the CIA's task force in Angola. The following year, Stockwell became a whistleblower, exposing what he regarded as unacceptable clandestine operations. He supported the intelligence missions of the CIA. He explained in his memoir, In Search of Enemies, but objected to the agency's covert actions, interventions all over the globe. Faced with a choice between my loyalty to the CIA or my responsibilities to the United States Constitution, he wrote, I chose the latter. In the 1930s, Lumumba was baptized into the Methodist Church and attended a Methodist mission school. While Stockwell, the son of an American Presbyterian engineer, attended the Presbyterian school in the same province. The two church communities overlapped, writes Stockwell. Lumumba, he adds, was a member of the missionary community in which my parents had spent most of their adult lives and in which I grew up. Lumumba continued his primary education at a Catholic mission school and then took a post as a clerk. He worked hard to educate himself and to qualify as a volu, a Belgian term meaning evolve, which was used to specify Africans who were seen to be civilized and capable of sharing in European society. I once asked my parents what this meant, said Jolene Lumumba, Patrice's daughter. It was a deeply humiliating process. You would be given a test. Someone will come to the house and see if you had an inside toilet, if your children wore pajamas, if you ate with a knife and fork. Only then would you be given the accreditation, Evolue. The accreditation qualified Lumumba to join the tiny elite of Congolese who were given special privileges, such as being allowed to enter cafes reserved for Europeans and to take up some skilled positions. Alongside his ambition to be an Evolu, however, Lumumba had a keen sense of the injustice that supported the Belgian colony. This sense grew powerfully after a visit in 1947 to Brazzaville, the capital of French Equatorial Africa, a federation of French colonial territories. Lumumba had taken the ferry across the deep Congo River to Brazzaville, which directly faced the Belgian Congo's capital of Leopoldville. Walking around Brazzaville in the baking heat, he became thirsty and lingered near a bar. He then stopped near a hedge which separated the avenue from the bar. But he did not enter because only whites were seated at the tables in the garden. If he dared to enter a similar cafe in the Belgian Congo, he would have been severely punished. But a white woman invited him into the garden and told him to sit where he liked. This terrified Lumumba. Patrice's throat tightened, recorded Lumumba's friend, Pierre Clement, into what trap had he fallen. He became increasingly concerned when the owner of the bar herself brought him a glass of water. And not just any glass of water, but a glass of mineral water. Patrice was very uneasy, added Clement. He managed to pay for the drink and left as quickly as possible without having swallowed a drop of it. But he saw that the racial practices in the French colony were different from those in the Belgian colony on his own side of the river. This opened Lumumba's eye in a powerful way to the real possibility of change. In 1944, Lumumba moved to Stanleyville, now Kisangani, where he joined the postal service and threw himself into professional training. He became editor of the Quarterly Review of Postal Workers. He put considerable energy into the association of evalues in the city and became increasingly involved in politics. He was vice president of the Belgian Liberal Party's Congolese branch, as well as secretary general of the Union for Civil Servants. Lumumba remained committed to his vocation as a dedicated autodidact. Notes, Unzogola Untalaja. He was able to acquire a university-level education by learning from home through reading and correspondence. He married Pauline Opango Onosamba in 1951, with whom he had 4 children, Patrice, Julene, Roland, and Mary Christine, who died within a few months. But an earlier relationship he had, he had a son, Francois. And by a relationship beginning in 1960, he had a son, Guy, who was born after his death. An earnest champion of the value of education, he regarded the poor education of the women he loved as a shortcoming. He wished, as he saw it, to raise them up. This led to resentment at times by the women themselves. Lumumba hoped to attend the newly established Lovenium University in Leopoldville, but was turned down on the grounds that he was married. Only bachelors could be admitted. He was bitterly disappointed. But in 1956, he became one of only a handful. But in 1956, he became one of the only a handful of Congolese to visit Belgium when selected for a study tour. That same year, Lumumba was arrested for embezzling funds from the post office. He admitted to the theft, which he had already started to repay before he was caught. He was condemned to serve 2 years in prison, but the sentence was commuted to 12 months after the evaluers of Stanleyville collected funds to pay back the rest of the sum. They understood his need for money. Though he was doing the same work as whites, he was not earning the same salary. Lumumba wasted no time while in prison. He wrote Le Congo, d'avenir et menace, whatever that means. I don't understand French. So Congo, my country, which was published in Brussels posthumously. The book opposed racial discrimination, but from a position of support for the civilizing mission claimed by Belgium. This viewpoint was diametrically opposed to the discourse he developed over the next few years. In 1957, he moved to Leopoldville, where he worked for the brewery Bracongo, which made polar beer. When he took on the job of publicity director, he traveled around the country promoting the beer, which triggered a rivalry with Bralima, the brewery that made the beer Primus. During this beer war, writes Unzogola Untalaja, Lumumba honed the public speaking skills that would serve him so well in political rallies and meetings. Lumumba's growing hope for political change were nourished by a speech given in Brazzaville on 24th August 1958 by Charles de Gaulle, the Prime Minister of France, in which he declared his support for the self-determination of the French colonies. Whoever desires independence can immediately obtain it. Across the Congo River in the Belgian Congo, rise the historian David van Reybrouck. Belgian families choked on their coffee when they heard the speech on the radio. But in the sight, a cheer went up. If this could happen in French-ruled Africa, thought Lumumba and many other Congolese, why not in Belgian-ruled Africa? 2 days later, a group of evoluers in Leopoldville delivered a signed petition to Hendrik Cornelis, the Governor General, denouncing the anachronistic political regime of the Congo and demanding a date for complete independence. A few weeks later, some of the individuals who had signed the petition established a new political party, the Movement National Congolais. The chairman was Lumumba. On 28 September 1958, de Gaulle called a referendum in all the French-ruled territories in Africa, asking them if they wanted to remain as members of the French community of peoples. The alternative was self-government. The vote, they were assured, was a free one. Lumumba believed that de Gaulle spoke in good faith. He was therefore appalled by the reaction of the French when Guinea voted against remaining in the French community and in favor of self-government. The only French colony in Africa to do so. The colony became an independent state on 2nd October 1958. French nationals living in Guinea, enraged, withdrew en masse, since few members of the Guinean population had been trained in the skills necessary to run the country. Guinea was left without administrators and technicians. It also lacked necessary equipment, since the French took away every piece of equipment they could possibly carry, including typewriters. French was furious, said an American General Service officer working later at the US Embassy in Guinea. He wrote, "They pulled out all of their people. They ripped out the electrical wires for the street lighting, for the apartment buildings and offices, broke the generators of the local hospital, tore up the streets. I mean, everything you can think of, they did. It was horrible. They broke the elevator to the one skyscraper, which was just mean and vicious. And it was ugly. And the country had not been able to overcome that. It was readily apparent. I mean, holes in the streets, broken down lights. They broke things and the cranes. I mean, you just name it. They broke it. I mean, they were determined to teach that country a lesson. And they did. It was a savage response to the referendum slogan of the first president of Guinea, Ahmed Sékou Touré. Guinea prefers poverty in freedom to riches in slavery. Sékou Touré was faced with a colossal challenge. Nkrumah invited him to Accra in November 1958 for discussions to find a way forward. Touré returned to Conakry, Guinea's capital, strengthened by an agreement of unity with Ghana and a loan equivalent to $28 million US. There was overwhelming sympathy for Guinea among the AAPC delegates. And while the conference was in session, Ghana's parliament approved a formal union between the two countries. This was a complex arrangement. Guinea was in the Franc zone, and its official language was French, whereas Ghana was in the Sterling area, and its official language was English. Still, Nkrumah and Touré were determined to build a Pan-African community. despite the obstacles left by colonialism. Nkrumah took notice of Lumumba at the All African People's Conference, but it was not only Ghana's Prime Minister who noticed Lumumba, so too did the CIA. Lumumba was on his guard against spies working for the Belgian Congo colonial government. En route to Accra, he and his fellow members of the MNC were concerned to see a fourth Congolese man on their flight to Accra, one who spoke English. They suspected he was a spy from the Soreti and kept well away from him. It did not occur to Lumumba to suspect anyone who was neither Congolese nor Belgian. So when a friendly French speaker approached him after his arrival and offered to act as his informal interpreter, he accepted the offer gracefully. Lumumba did not speak English and was eager to understand as much as possible and to communicate with the other delegates. Many years later, Nkrumah learned that Lumumba's interpreter at the AAPC was a CIA agent. The interpreter facilitated a friendly introduction between Lumumba and the Americans at the conference. According to Thomas Kanza, a Congolese graduate of Louvain University in Belgium and of Harvard University in the US. Even at the meeting between Lumumba and Nkrumah, said Kanza, many years later, the American was translating and also at the meeting with the Soviets. There, he appeared to be French because they were speaking in French. And for him to be accepted as an interpreter, he couldn't say he was an American. In Kanza's judgment, Lumumba may have told the interpreter more than was advisable. In private meetings with people from Western and Eastern countries alike, explained Kanza, Lumumba vented his anti-colonialist and anti-Belgian feelings in a way he had never been able to express to his Belgian friends. Kanza could not recall the name of the interpreter. In fact, two Americans who were fluent in French claimed after the conference to have interpreted for Lumumba. One of them was John A. Markham, a white political scientist at Colgate University in New York, who attended the conference as part of the delegation of the American Committee on Africa. Markham, who made the claim in a book many years later, was the recipient of a Ford Foundation grant that enabled him to travel to West Africa. He was in neighboring Ivory Coast towards the end of 1958 and flew to Accra for the AAPC conference. It is not possible to establish whether the Ford Foundation grant given to Markham came from the CIA, or if it did, whether Markham was aware of this. While it is the case that Markham wrote frequently for the AAI journal, African Special Report, which was financed by the CIA, few of the journal's authors knew about its funding source. The same applies to New Leader, a magazine that was covertly subsidized by the CIA and for which Markham wrote a number of feature articles. His article, The Challenge of Africa, which appeared in the New Leader in February 1960, was published with an introduction by Tom Mboya. Whether or not Markham was aware of the CIA's role as a source of funding for his travels, research and publications, he was increasingly involved with the Angolan politician, Oldin Roberto, who, as many suspected, was in the pay of America. Roberto, like Markham, was a delegate at the All African People's Conference in Accra, registered under the pseudonym Rui Ventura. When was the leader of the União das Populares de Angola, UPA, that's a political party, which aimed to liberate Angola from Portuguese occupation? Give me a second. Anyway, let's continue. A country summary produced in the late 1960s by the State Department's Bureau of Intelligence and Research, INR, noted that the CIA has had a relationship with Roberto. Oh, give me a sec. I have a fly in here. Honestly speaking, I need to go get it. Because I opened the window and it was because it was roasting in here. So give me a sec. Don't go anywhere. I should be back maybe in a minute. I'll use that as my break then, okay? I hate flies. And I'm going to go kill this one now. So I got out now. Honestly speaking, I hate flies, right? They are like very annoying. So if I could just get them like that, so I will do it. And I just did. So thank you so much for that. And sorry for that interruption, by the way. My office is roasting and I had to keep the windows opened so that I can at least, yes. So let us continue, please. So we have George Padmore was deeply suspicious of Roberto with his sharp, experienced eye. Observed the Ghanaian journalist Cameron Dodu. Padmore easily saw through guys like Roberto, who, despite their rhetoric, had a penchant for fine clothes and designer dark glasses. The other man who claimed to have translated for Lumumba at the AAPC was a white American trade unionist named Irving Brown, who held a senior position in the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organization, AFL-CIO. Brown was known as an anti-colonialist. He was also known for his instrumental role in fighting communist unions in Europe and setting up anti-communist unions. He stated in an interview with the historian Richard D. Mahoney, the author of JFK, Ordeal in Africa, that he had provided general help with interpreting at the AAPC and had given individual assistance to Lumumba. A New York Times article covering the conference reported that Brown had been pressed into service as a simultaneous translator and that he had stood at the microphone on the conference platform all day. Brown's help with translation was open and transparent. It is unlikely, therefore, that Brown was the secret interpreter referred to by Kansa. It is more likely to have been Malcolm. Nevertheless, Irving Brown's role at the AAPC was significant, since the AFL-CIO formed in 1955 by a merger of the AFL and CIO was penetrating energetically into Africa. Importantly, it was CIA-backed and funded. British diplomats in the know, notes one expert on the history of the CIA, mockingly referred to it as the AFL-CIA, led by its president, George Minnie. The organization was obsessed with eliminating communism and played an active role in Europe and Africa. In 1949, it had split from the World Federation of Trade Unions, WFTU, to form and to part of with its affiliates, the British Trade Union Congress, TUC, the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions, known as the ICFTU. The reason for the split was that the WFTU was seen as sympathetic to communism and the Soviet Union. Ivan was never a CIA agent, said Cord Meyer, the head of the international organization's divisions of the CIA. The very notion is laughable. He was an independent as you could get and very strong-willed. What the CIA did was to help him finance his major projects when they were crucial to the Western cause. But in his operations, he was totally on his own. Ivan Brown's superior was the good-looking J. Lovestone, who would serve in the 1960s as the director of the Department of International Affairs for the AFL-CIO, and has been described as one of the Central Intelligence Agency's most important men. He shared Brown's concern to keep communism out of Africa once decolonization got underway. In 1957, Lovestone told George Minnie that Africa has become the real battleground and the next field of the big test of strength, not only for the free world and the communist world, but for our own country and our allies who are colonialist powers. Even if Lumumba had not made an impact at the All-African People's Conference, it was inevitable that he would be noticed by the CIA because of the friendship that he quickly developed with Frantz Fanon. The agency had first become interested in Fanon in the late 1950s. According to the CIA agent C. Oliver Iselin, whose cover was being a member of the diplomatic corps in North Africa. In 2016, Iselin gave an interview to Thomas Minnie, an American historian, in which he spoke of CIA interest in Fanon. We tried to keep control of, keep up to date on what was happening in the GPRA, the provisional government of the Algerian Republic, and whatnot. Iselin told Minnie, so we knew about Fanon. We knew he had been a medical assistant in Blida with the French army. As he said, why cure these people when you are just gonna anyway? So that's why he defected. I even read some of his literature and books. The Algerians, said Iselin, were a very tough nut to crack. But in 1957, Senator John F. Kennedy made a controversial speech in the US Senate in which he argued against American support for the French colonialism. Such support, he warned, would convert Algerian moderate nationalists into communists and conflate the process of decolonization with the Cold War. Kennedy's speech enabled Iselin undercover as a State Department official to make his first recruits. He made regular visits to the training sites of the major liberation groups, the ALN and FLN. We gave hospital supplies, though mainly cigarettes, which I got from Port Laute, and used to bring back in the back of my car. Also, we had lighters made up with an Algerian flag and Free Algeria on them. The CIA, Iselin told Minnie, coordinated closely with National Liberation Movement across North Africa, where it worked through the American Federation of Labor to infiltrate trade unions in Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria. Western trade unionists came to Africa in droves from the mid to late 1950s, writes the historian John C. Stoner. Those from the AFL-CIO, he urges, sought to capitalize on the mythos of American anti-colonialism to gain a foothold in Africa at the expense of European unions, which had been present and in some cases complicit with the colonial apparatus during the colonial period. So Brown and Lobstone were skeptical of the Afro-Asian endorsement of non-alignment. Like many Americans, argues the Russian scholar Sergei Mazov, they perceived non-alignment as either against us or for us. In February 1967, the columnist Drew Pearson reported in the New York Post that J. Lobstone received orders from CIA Director of International Organization, Kurt Meyer, and that Ivan Brown spent CIA money in Africa. Brown was shuttled into and out of Africa, but the real job, according to a biographer of Lobstone, fell to a black woman from the ranks of the ILGW, which is International Ladies Garment Workers Union, who became Lobstone's African agent. This was Maida Springer, an earnest, thoughtful American with severe spectacles, who had studied at Ruskin College in Oxford and cared passionately about the rights of workers. As a black woman in the white and male-dominated world of organized labor, she was keenly aware of the obstacles facing black women at work. Following a meeting with George Padmore in 1945, he turned to international labor activism. He worked in a number of African countries, including Kenya, Nigeria, Tanzania, Uganda, and Ghana, where she was widely known as Mama Maida. Along with Brown, Maida Springer represented the 15 million member of the AFL-CIO at the All-African People's Conference in Accra. For once in my life, she observed with joy, I was somewhere I had the right paint job. I empathized with the people in Africa. I was not objective. I couldn't be objective. It was a judgment that Ivan Brown did a sterling job as part-time interpreter. The delegates at the conference sanctioned his activity, she said, notwithstanding his known affiliation with the ICFTU, which was generally unpopular in Africa. She thought his general friendliness and usefulness with the delegation was very effective. Maida Springer had become a house mother to Africans visiting New York in the 1950s. She had an old house in Brooklyn, a mother who liked to cook, a beat-up Ford to drive them around in, and 2 manual typewriters, according to our biographer. When the young Kenyan Tom Mboya arrived in New York in 1956, he stayed with her. He introduced him to Lobstone, which gave Mboya an opportunity over dinner at a Chinese restaurant on 3rd Avenue to explain that he wanted a trade union center in Nairobi and scholarships for Kenyan labor leaders. Mboya got both. Springer attended the independence celebration in Ghana on 6 March 1957 and was profoundly moved. She recalled later that he wept like a baby on that evening. When she returned the following year to Accra, she threw herself as a volunteer into the work of helping to organize the All-African People's Conference. But she came under the critical scrutiny in the second half of the 1970s when it was alleged that she was in the pay of the CIA. And, like Irving Brown, had participated in Okay, I'll get it back. Good. So I am so sorry. I don't know how long the audio has been gone, but I'm going to try something and check. Give me a second. So let's see. There are a lot of here. Okay, the young Kenyan. So that's where it got stopped. So that's where we stopped. Okay, I am so sorry that I'm quite glad that I was able to catch that anyway. So let's continue. That's just pretty much like a few lines that we missed there. Okay, and I hope the audio, it should be back now. It should. Sometimes you see all this on this whole thing, right? They can just trip off. And I'm glad I looked up anyway. But let me have a tea break. Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to finish this chapter 6, okay? And I'll take calls. Have a wee chat before we go get ready for the evening, okay? But let me finish this. Just about 2 pages left. Just 2 pages. So it was also believed that, in fact, hang on though. Yeah. So it was also believed that Mboya had been receiving regular funds from the CIA. He was seen by the US as a leader who espoused an acceptable type of socialism in Africa. American approval of the Mboya was set out in a briefing to the National Security Council, which advised the president on national security and foreign policy. It was dated 17th December 1958, just days after the end of the AAPC. Mboya was described as a dynamic, young, he was 29 years old, spellbinding, but essentially moderate labor leader. It noted with satisfaction that he had shared the Accra conference and thereby added appreciably to his stature. Mboya was appointed the head of the Kenyan Federation of Labor, which was suspected to be CIA-backed. It was alleged that Maida Springer was Mboya's contact officer. He denied this in the course of interviews for a book published in 2004 by Yvette Richard. As far as CIA activities with Tom, or even general conversations, Springer told Richard, I never had any. In the late 1950s, the ICFTU denied to establish a regional office for Africa in Accra. Decided to establish a regional office for Africa in Accra. It planned to use the Ghana Trade Union Congress, which was headed by the Ghanaian John Tetega. as a continental base for pursuing its activity in Africa, and to put pressure on African unions to adopt hard anti-communist positions. But this strategy was unwelcome and unsuccessful. Instead, delegates at the All-African People's Conference called for the creation of an All-African Trade Union Federation, AATUF, as a non-aligned alternative to the ICFTU and to the communist-backed World Federation of Trade Unions. The AATUF, as a non-aligned alternative to the ICFTU and to the communist-backed, So I'll take that again. Gaylord Stone took a hard line on Ghana. A few months after independence, he wrote to Maida Springer, "I am a bit disturbed as to the way Ghana is going, and by the game which is being played by Nkrumah and others, a game which is often played by newly established independent governments. I refer to the game of flirting with Moscow, of signing trade treaties with them, of establishing diplomatic relations. All of this leads to neutralism, a la Nehru, and confusion was confounded. Ivan Brown, too, disliked Nkrumah, the Ghanaian leader, he said, reveled in playing the militant leftist. But Springer remained supportive of Nkrumah and his Pan-Africanist vision. "Oh my God," she exclaimed years later when she remembered Accra in December 1958. "Oh, I still get goosebumps when I think of All African People's Conference and reflect now on the significance of it," she added. This was as incredible as the Berlin Wall coming down, or even more so, because people from all over the continent were meeting together and sharing problems, aspirations, and talking about an African community of support for one another. The fact that it was meeting in an African country and organized by an African government, she said, was path-breaking. This had never happened on this continent before. Couldn't have happened without an independent Ghana. This is the end of chapter 6. And the chapter 6 is also page 81. So we shall be reading from chapter 7 the next time. And this is how we are going to slowly but surely read this. I'll catch up on this entire book. Catch up on the history, learn from it, and hopefully become better afterwards. So I'm going to take calls as we normally do. This time around, it is the brunch time where Doyi Agbako, what do you call him earlier? Doyi Okupe. Somebody said Agbako. No, it should be Okupe. So Doyi Okupe compared Thiefnubu to Jesus Christ, that he came to sacrifice for all of you Nigerians. So I will take a short break. And when I get back, I will take calls. It's up to you now.
Alhamdulillah. 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 Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Thank you so much for that, Shegun Honor. The line is open. Okay, so I was trying to get that back up earlier, but I was battling with it, and I think I've managed to get the line back on. So thanks so much for that, Shegun Sashege, for that your generosity. Very kind. Thank you. So yes, to those of you who have or you are just waking up to this, okay. Let me see if I still have it as a refresher, so that some of you can. Okay, I think I got rid of that earlier. So I picked something else up as well, and it was the recorded or reported demolition of people living under the bridges in Lagos as well. So I was going to share that later, but let me drop it now.
Oh yeah, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it.
That's the state of what do you call it there? Okay. Anyway, it doesn't seem that we are going to have a lot of call this afternoon, so I'm going to put that on note maybe towards the evening. Okay. So I have seen few people, because there's no way you can rule that out. You remember I went to I went for the Biafran Remembrance Day in London. Okay, and it was, it was a glorious, really occasion, so to say. It was a moment of a sober reflection as well, kind of a reminder of our own mortality too, and all that. Now, I have some of you. Okay, I know how long it's been for some of you that you have been trying, and I've done my best to ignore a lot of you too. Okay, I know when I say some of you, I'm talking about those of you who claim to be IPOB member. All right, and somehow you kind of don't really like me, right? Identifying with the real IPOB people, I believe, right? And I'm not not unoblivious of some of the shenanigans going on. All right, okay. But I have done my best to try and kind of stay as neutral as possible. And I'm not neutral when it comes to observing bad behavior. I am not somebody who wants to be neutral. But there is something I kind of figured out after offering my own advice to some of you, that you are not doing anybody any favor if you turn yourselves into competitors, okay? In the course of, say, you are advocating for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. A lot of you from both sides, you have gone out of the line or many times against yourselves. And I've just kind of tried my best to see if all of you can see beyond that, those your limitations and your selfishness too. You've said horrible things to yourselves. I have not seen anyone who have said horrible, horrible, horrible things to themselves. The majority of you who have turned yourselves into the avengers of IPOB. You are enjoying it. Social media is there. And then you are getting some other criminals, possibly to validate your fantasy. That's all right. Well, the thing here is that I won't be part of your, part of your competition. I've done my best to try to let you see reason, but if you're not, that's all right. So me going somewhere, somebody sent me a message, right? But it's a comment. I actually left it there. So one person came and said, well, you attended the wrong IPOB Remembrance Day, whatever that means. And I understand where that's coming from. Okay, I understand where it is coming from. I've had few of you who have come here several times to try to want to drag me into your Simon Ekpa and the rest of all of you, where you are kind of pushing yourself on. And in most cases, I have come here as well to remind you that this is not a competition. You are doing more damages than good to the same struggle. But you are the type who kind of feel like whoever doesn't agree with you is automatically against you. And you are the type who have become so paranoid. So many of you have become so paranoid. As some of you, I actually see some of you are older guys, right? So you have become so paranoid that the level of animosities you have against yourself, not even any non-Igbo have same against the Igbos. I have seen horrible, horrible things you've done to yourself, you've said about yourselves and here and there. I don't expect you to come to MaiyegunsDiary Politico and want to drag me into that for attending a supposed remembrance. You know what that person said? He said I attended the wrong one. Then another one came and he said, I should stop calling those supposed unknown gunmen in Eastern Nigeria. I should stop calling them criminals. They are not criminals. All the people killing our people, we are going to go after them and kill all of them. So you want me to sit on my program on this platform and beat my chest, right? That some of you cowards hiding behind your phones, hiding behind whatever you are hiding behind, carrying out what do you call it, targeted attacks, right? In the way you think you could take responsibility for all of that. You want me to sit down here and brag like some of you does? That is not my thing, right? It is not. And I may not have a dig in how you do your things, but for you to come and sort of like bowed mouth, you are a Biafran. You are supposed to be an IPOB. An event of IPOB took place in London. I participated. Then you want to make me a target. You want to make me a target of what? Of your madness, of your rivalry. Abi? And then you can write all you can. So you are promoting criminals, right? Who are doing all they can to help justify the, the state-sponsored genocide, ethnic cleansing that the Nigerian government is sponsoring. You shoot at the soldiers, right? And then the soldiers come back, and they come back to the vulnerable people. By then, you are gone. When they start picking them, you don't even come back and start shooting them for not picking people. You are cowards. A lot of you enjoy it. You kind of give yourself that illusion. I don't live an illusion life. Okay? You can abuse me for all you like. You only abuse me once. Yeah, once. Because once I cite you, you will not be here the next time. You do not give to people who are setting out or looking for reasons why to justify the crimes they are committing. And if you are not going to be there to shoot back at the criminal soldiers who are mounting different roadblocks and attacking different communities, if you cannot fight them right there, don't come to my platform and then tell me that they are not terrorists, they are not criminals. The entire Enugu community is being ransacked by terrorists, or a majority of you lunatics on social media, right? To make an impression of what you are not, because it makes you feel good, right? But innocent people's lives are actually being put on the line just because of what you are trying to legitimize, to validate for them. And we are doing everything to say, can you just take them out of here? Right? So I've seen it, they say things so where people are attacking themselves. You are attacking yourselves because you disagree with yourselves, right? You raise so many lies against yourselves. And a lot of you grown-ups were believing those lies. One even came and said, look at Nnamdi Kanu's wife. See the way she's addressing her husband, calling her husband Nnamdi Kanu. Somebody is giving a speech, addressing the crowd, telling them what the British government has done or what they are doing, the illegality and the rest of that. But because somebody has made you believe that you have to hate her. And you, many of you grown-ups, right, on social media, you've called her different names. Anybody who tells you, please don't do that, you will attack that person. You start abusing them. You start calling them, you start making up stories and things that will make you feel good about yourselves. You were even sharing your own naked photos on social media where you are tackling yourselves. I saw all of that, all those messy nonsense. And I actually believe that by now, majority of you should have kind of understand the word, ceasefire, come together. It is not going to help anyone. But no, you are enjoying the ride so much that you have to target me on my platform. Maiyegun. You come in here, say your stuff, and I get rid of you because I know I've had many of you who have tried to want to drag me into your nonsense. You can't. There are many people who are really objective. Okay? People who are objective, people who actually want things to happen. And I told you, I said, listen, somebody like me, I do know a lot, but I do not say everything in most cases. Because if you have to say something or do something that is going to negatively affect a cause that people have died for, people have been killed for, then you probably should have a second thought, like, let me do, let me talk, let me say, let me this or that. It's not always for everything. No, I can't be everyone. So please spare me, okay? I know people who have been IPOB for years. I have been one of those who have closely monitored the activities and the formation and everything of IPOB for over 10 years now. I am one of them. So if some of you now suddenly became passionate about the IPOB and the rest of that 2, 3, 4 years ago, or just when Nnamdi Kanu got arrested, then maybe you should probably still have some certain catch up to do. So please spare me, okay? I know you can come here and say, you can say all the things you might want to say about the criminals in Nigeria and the rest of that, okay? But don't bring your IPOB, social media rivalry, cloud chasing, and the rest of that you all kind of so crave for, please. Okay? And then my spanner men, when you see some of these unscrupulous miscreants in the commented section, please get rid of them. Okay, thank you. Yeah, my line is opened, and let's see. I think I still have about 40 minutes. Let's hope I can probably take that in. I have a caller. Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Maiyegun.
Baba, how are you, sir?
It's been, I think we share the same name. I'm also Olushola.
Great. So we are namesakes.
We are namesakes. So how can I even start? I've been an ardent listener for a very long period of time.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm with
you.
But
most times I've always been like, Maiyegun, when will I have time to speak with Maiyegun? But something happened yesterday. I'm calling from Seychelles.
Seychelles. Wow.
Yeah, I'm calling from Seychelles.
We heard.
Yeah. But it's a long story. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Okay. I'm one of those doctors that saw that. I'm a medical doctor. I saw the light when Boko Haram came around and around that 2015. So what really happened was I was not too young. Let's say I was like 8 years old in 1983 when Boko Haram came in, and then I was still able to enjoy some of the largest of the Bola Ige administration and then. So I could remember then that when Boko Haram, its first time when he came in, then they had to stop the so-called free education. Mm-hmm. So when I have been a doctor for like 14, 15, I graduated in 2001. I was working well, things were working well. And even then, I did not even have an inkling that I would leave Nigeria. What do you want to leave Nigeria for?
Like why?
But in that, why do I want to leave? I was working. I was close to being made a director in a private university health center. My wife works as a banker. So why will I want to leave? But when Buhari came that second time, I knew there would be a problem. I knew.
Witness is first. It's first 30 months.
I know I was young. I was very young then, but I knew what was happening. So I was telling other people that were around me that we are going to have shege in this place. I know, doctor, that's how you talk. That's how you used to be. I said, the situation is going to be worse economically. And I said, no, it's going to come back, change. I said, you people did not define the change, whether it's going to be positive or negative.
Because people didn't even ask. I think people didn't even bother to ask. They just assume it's going to be a good change.
They just assume it's going to be a good. It's going to be a good thing. And now, to why I actually called, since I'm working here as an expatriate in Seychelles, and I've been watching your program. There are actually categories of japa people.
Yes.
That are not basically japa. I call them semi-japa. Semi-japa in the sense that they are expatriate. Mm-hmm. They just come to work, they renew their own so-called contract, they go back to Nigeria or go back to Europe and come back. Those are key set of people. And I quite remember there was a time you said, anybody that says because I've jackpot into Europe, I'm in US, I'm in Australia, and you feel you want to be, you don't want to show any apathy to what is happening in Nigeria. It's not really my
problem anymore. No,
it is delusional. It is delusional because you have parents there. You have people there, you have everybody there, and what will you do? You cannot do anything
and take them to where you
are. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Because even some of us that we've been able to move, we know the psychological, we know the effect. You have to leave your families behind. You have to leave your culture, your tradition.
I told somebody, I said, one of the greatest disadvantage, or should I say, one of the greatest tragedy of japa is that it has separated families to the point that, you know, back then they would say, maybe if I go there and just spend maybe 4 or 5 years, I'll come back to Nigeria with my family and all of that. Yeah. Now people are living in Nigeria 5, 10, 20, 30, 25 years, 30 years with no plan of going back. And so many wonderful things happened within the family back there in Nigeria. Many memories created, and you are not part of it. Ever.
So it's
so if people understand what that means, right? Psychologically, then japa is not anything that anybody should be like, people I'm looking forward to it. No.
You know, what really spurred me to call was anytime I attend to patient air in Seychelles, you know, Seychelles is like a melting point for, you know, for professionals. You know, it's a small island on the Indian Ocean, less than 100,000. But you see, they have a lot of expatriate doctors from other places, Cubans, they have from other African countries, from Ghana and other places. But when you show these exceptional skills in managing patients, now patients, they will ask you, where are you from? You know, it can be very, very humiliating and disheartening for a doctor not to be able to say confidently where you come from. Because you're associated with that disdain, you're associated with that, you know, that acrimony, that resentment. And you know, it gets to a point that even patients, some people will start to even pity you. They will not show it, but they will say, I now remember what people used to say, that do big Benny Luri. So, we can say we are the best in this and that, but when we remember where we come from, we remember the atrocities that those criminals are forcing on all of us. It should be a collective effort, because even when we say, okay, we are not going to be concerned, but what of the shege even we as expatriates are facing? We are facing it.
See, if you think you are comfortable wherever you are, you may be living in denial, because that's exactly what it is, right? The more comfortable you think you are, just take a look at where the pressure is coming from, and then you get all your answer. That we all have issues, we all have our problems, we have to deal with every now and then. But the one that kind of can pump your heartbeats beyond normal is the one that comes from Nigeria. For those who live abroad, okay,
that's just it.
So and it keeps rising and rising and rising, and now comfort that people said they have abroad is going to soon become uncomfortable. I'm talking to those of you professionals, successful professionals, because yours are different from those who are just like hustling and doing things. So you are professionals, right? You will always be comfortable as long as you are gainfully employed, right? But yes, Nigeria keeps getting to where it's getting into. Your comfort is going to be threatened too. Mine has been threatened as we speak.
Even that comfort is actually relative, because anytime you see that call, you have that trepidation and palpitation. So
many things running through your mind, like
so many things, because you have your own, you have the billing, you have that black card, the billing that you are used to, but you have some emergency ones. Well. Every day you have to pray that because that is the question.
So nobody it is comfortable for us to actually live like that.
That is just it. And that is why I always put it into in my own bit. I tell them, this is what is happening in Nigeria. Because in my own little way, I try to give them, because what I've seen, you are giving education, you are giving awareness. Yes. And when we get to that critical mass, that spontaneous reaction is going to come and the whole place will implode.
It will.
And then there will be solution. But we have to get to that realization, where that consciousness, whereby an average person on the street will be able to know that the weapon fashioned against them is not the one in the Bible. No. The weapon fashioned against them are these criminal leaders.
Absolutely.
So we should be able to tell them that the politicians are the ones that come to kill, to steal, and destroy. So once we have that
consistently, because it is like the devil.
Consistent.
You know what I mean, sir? It's like the devil. These criminals, right? They are not slowing down in their schemes. Okay?
Yes,
so we must never slow down in exposing them, sir.
And that's why, in my own little way, what I've been able to do with my own little circle, at least the one I still give something, I will just give them a kind of a question that, what do you think is happening in Nigeria? Are you really comfortable? I'm not comfortable. I'm not this and that. Well, what do you think we can do about it? Will you participate in the next election? If they say, so you don't know what you are going to do about it. If I'm giving you this upkeep, I'm giving you all these ones, and then you still want to go and see one lunatic that will give you 10,000, you're going to go and still participate in this sham, this charade for this. That means so some of them are seeing the light. And you know, another problem which I really see, which I basically see, and which some of the responders have highlighted, is this message must go to the grassroots. They must go to the grassroots, because not everybody will be able to understand English. And even like you used to say, Shege has killed so many of them. I know. The real Shege there, many of them cannot. We are here now. We have the luxury of having 24 hours light. We have good internet. Those are the basic things they do not even have. They have been subjected to the animalistic level. They've been subjected to that lower level of this Abraham Maslow stuff. The lower level of their needs is physiological and safety. So now we are just talking to people that are just grappling for basic needs. It is after you satisfy that physiological needs, safety need, that's when you can know love, self-esteem, and self-actualization. And it is these three steps that those of us that have been opportune to leave Nigeria, we need love, we need self-actualization, we need all those ones, but they are still grappling with basic physiological needs: how to eat, how to drink, how to do that.
Where to
our Yorubas, anything being when you go wasu, so it be any problem to one. And when that man, like I will not waste so much time. One man now came yesterday. I saw one man after attending to him and everything. He was very happy the way I attended to me. The man is a Sri Lankan. He now look at my name, Olushola, and I say, where are you from? I said, Nigeria. That was the first time I was happy being a Nigerian. But it's still so sarcastic, because he referred me back to the 1980s. I said, no, I came to your country. He mentioned Otukpo. I said, okay, that was you being Benue State. Yeah, I was in Ilori. He was working in the construction, and he told me then Nigeria was good. It was 1-to-1. I said, what do you mean 1-to-1? It was $1 to $1. I felt like crying. I felt cold jitters ran down my spine. So people could attest to allude to the fact that there was a time, even though it was not perfect, but Nigeria was working. Yes. People were coming. I was just like, oh God. So this could happen. You know, I felt so emotional. The health assistant that was working with me said, doctor, you felt something. I said, no, don't worry. Don't worry. I was just like, So it was 1-to-1.
It was.
I know.
In fact, when it got to 1-to-1, that was the moment it started going. I mean, that was the time it's already going bad, right? It used to be 72 to 1.
It was even higher.
To get, so you need $1 to get 72 kobo. Oh, so God. Sorry, you need the 72. So if you want $1, all you need is just 72 kobo. We'll get you $1 at the time. And then what do you call it? £1 to 1 naira. I mean to 1 naira. Dollar was even was smaller than naira in the 70s. But here we are.
Yeah. So I know while discussing with the man, because after saying him, he said, "No, doctor, we need to talk. What is happening in your country?" And I said, I have 4 issues, 4 basic problems. I said the number one is we have imbibed this culture of classism, this individualism. Yoruba will call it So we have this issue of empathy, selflessness, and everything. We have imbibed it as a society. And I said another issue is kakistocracy. One of the, I think I was listening to this expose, this white stuff, this colonialism. One of the lasting legacy of colonialism is kakistocracy, which is we always maintain that we have the worst of our society in leadership. That is kakistocracy. And if we have this kakistocracy, there will be a spawn in the hand of those colonialists. And many people think we are under neocolonialism. Even Kwame Nkrumah said, after getting the Ghana's independence, that neocolonialism is coming, and that is the worst form of colonialism. Because we think we are free. They've given us our flag, but our economy is not free. That's what Malema is fighting for in South Africa. So they just give us flag. They give us a national anthem, one stupid national anthem that one crazy old man has even gone back to the colonial one. And I told him the third problem is Stockholm syndrome. You know, we love our rulers, our oppressors. We love them differently, and we have this amnesia. We just forget. Now it will be confounding to know that people are already talking of 2027. Many people are dying. Many people are living under squalor. They don't know what to eat. And
you know what somebody said? One of them said, I think it was online, okay? And after Confessor Soyinka's Miss Yan and all of that, okay? So everybody is responding this or that, including me and all of that. Then this Lagos Abobaku now wrote on Twitter that everybody is seeing now, everybody is seeing as the Igbo people are attacking Soyinka. He deliberately called the people responding as Igbos, you know, mischievously, right? He said, but Yorubas will respond in 2027. Yorubas will respond at the time where this is the way they kind of set the whole thing in motion. All right.
And like you rightly, that is that. And like you rightly alluded to, there is no way you will go to the market. Everybody is facing the shege all together. There is no market for Yoruba. There is no market for Igbo. There is no market for Nupe. Everybody, we are facing this shege together. Same. Are we Yorubas? Are we not the one that are shouting Ebim Pawao, Ebim Pawao? Are we not the one crying everywhere? And when they were deceiving people and say, Omawani, Edioshe, Omenio, Nishe, Dibebere, Kafilek, Ewataloni, Leke, Buburu, Ileke, we racing to deal with everybody. What if you like a fun along by I do one part? What if you like a fun along? So, and I said,
now they are not looking at now they still want you and me not to see it that way. We should feel sorry for them. And I 100% believe they will do it again. Even if they are
that is the problem.
They will do it.
That is the problem. So that is why, to me, I believe in this philosophy of what do you call it? Crab theory. The crab theory is I give my bills, but I do with utmost sense. If you have like 10, 20 crabs in a basket, none of them will come out of that basket. But if you have one that have escaped, so I cannot allow anybody to pull me back into that poverty net or that kilo.
Because I did a program on this black tax sometimes ago. Remember that time? And I said,
I think
majority of us have savior mentality. You know that?
Yeah.
The moment we leave, the moment we begin to kind of acquire money or any money, we always have this savior complex personality or savior personality or something.
Yeah.
So when you go abroad as well, automatically you should kind of see yourself as well to do, even if you are still struggling. You still feel like you're better than those who are there. And you could actually help and help. Even when you yourself need help. So that is savior mentality that our people do have. And most of the time when we now see more money, we expended the money on trying to make other people feel better. Sometimes we think we want to take them out of poverty. You cannot take people out of poverty whose mind is poor. So you need to save yourself before you become poor too. I'm going to do more on that to encourage to actually preach to all of the young men all over the world now. Take care of yourself. Save as much as you can. Sure. You cannot save them in that place. Baba?
Sure. The disheartening trend, I will also be good. The disheartening trend is even that many of them feel they will even gaslight you. You left home to save home. Why are you not doing for us? They have this entitlement mentality. And like one pastor just casually said, he said, you are not El Shaddai.
No.
If you want to save them, you are going to die.
Yes.
You are not El Shaddai. You have to just save yourself first. Like when you are comfortable, you cannot save everybody. So thank you. I'll still be calling. Whenever I have the time. Yeah.
No, I look
okay. It's been nice talking to you.
You keep trying.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep trying. I've been trying, but at least I got through today. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, sir.
Okay. You're welcome.
Now that's Olushola, which is my namesake, right? So powerful. And that's a good one, right? Don't kill yourself. Don't think you have what it takes to take anybody out of poverty. I need to build a business for my sister. I need to build a small house for my stepmother. I need to do this for my mom. I need to build that one for my dad. I need to open a shop for this or that. Where you are running into debt. Okay, trying to see if you can take people out of poverty inside Nigeria in an economy that is, programmed to actually fail. You will drown. A lot of people are in debt today simply because they have this savior, personality, savior mentality. I cannot look at. I mean, we do say that here. Mr. Getty, I don't know. I think I have the savior mentality too. Because I spend so much money trying to maintain the family back there, but I do so based on like planning. I used to want to pay everybody's school fees, everybody's hospital's bills, everybody's food, everyone this or that. Then I realized that I'm just going to end up very, very poor and maybe wretched. And once I don't have anything to share anymore, you see those people that you are giving your money to, that you think that they are going to die if you don't help them, if you don't give them money. When you run broke, when you become broke, when you are in debt, they are going to still live without your money. Yes. Without that, your money, they are still going to live and they are still going to kind of survive. So you need to take it easy on yourselves. I'm glad somebody mentioned it. I'm going to do something on that and I'm going to keep saying it because a lot of people have health problems right now. It is not because they owe money for their rent or they are unable to pay their bills where they live. It's because they have been dragged into so many things that have taken so much money from them in Nigeria, and this has affected their health. So be careful. You are not Jesus Christ. So you cannot take anybody out of poverty. You cannot help everybody, or else you will drown and nobody is going to help you. Hello there.
Hello, Maiyegun the General.
PA from Atlanta.
From Atlanta. Yeah. Good. It's a good, very good morning here. 11:39 a.m.
11:39. So, almost 12.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Almost 12. Yes.
See you.
Yeah. From the last part you made, the pressure back home. If you're not careful, you will not just have health issues. Someone is going to drop dead.
Yes.
Because you work and work and work because you want everybody to be okay back home. It's in us all, a lot of us. We want our people to live. Yes, we want our people to live good back home. But it's just so. What I've done now is every morning I wake up, my WhatsApp is filled up with messages. Maiyegun.
I know.
filled up with messages. So what I just do, I look at Ted, I say, look, it's not as if I don't want to help you, but I have a long list. So just take it easy when it gets to your turn. That's just what you can do.
Exactly.
Yes, when it gets to your turn.
You're not discouraged from helping, right? But do not think you are the savior that some people are looking for. Yes. You will kill yourself. And before you even kill yourself, you will die unhappy. Because every now and then that, not only that you will run into debt, even your own personal stuff, you may not be able to take care of them anymore. And that is close to death than you can imagine. Advice to all people, not so young, all people.
Everybody, do your best and just what you can do. Don't overstress yourself. Just do what you can do. That is it. About the last caller, you made mention about 2027. We said this before. People don't care. They're already, like I said yesterday, they're planning for 2027 already. And they're still going to vote the same people back in. You see this people crying now? They're still going to vote the same people back in.
Do it again. Exactly. Some will tell
all you need to do is just...
They don't want to raise their vote because nobody can defeat him. So that is why they just have to kind of follow him and all of that. Then 2 months later, they will come back here and say, being power,
all you need to do is just dangle something in front of them. Something shining in front of them. Oh, yeah, maybe like this constitution, whatever, like I told you yesterday, that dangling to Nigerians. This is my regional government. Maiyegun, there's no regional government anywhere.
There's nothing.
That is a 2027 plot. That's a 2027 plot for people to say, well, I told you this guy might work.
Do you know that APC Egbekegbe said they were coming to do restructuring, right?
Yes, before now, yes.
Yes. So when they now came in, Bokwari said, what is restructuring? Shitty said,
I remember.
Restructuring my put. Then immediately 2019 election was coming. They now put El Rufai and some few guys as APC restructuring committee. And those ones now said they are visiting everywhere to now discuss about restructuring before 2019. After 2019, nobody can, even me, I cannot tell you 3 people inside that committee. I remember El Rufai as the chairman. I don't remember other people. Their report, their restructuring report, dead. So these guys will bring something like that up too, and the gullibles will swallow it.
They'll swallow it. All they need to do is they'll just pay someone in their house. The person will raise the motion in their house, and they'll say they'll start debating. Yes, start debating. Before you know, 2 years is gone. The 3rd year is gone. As if they're making progress. The election is here, and people will jump and vote. As for what the last caller said about the dollar, I was a kid when my dad went to Sweden in the 70s. My dad came back from Sweden. He got a job in Sweden. And they said, come back to Sweden. In fact, come to Europe and work as an engineer. My father said, Nigeria is good. It's comfortable here. What is he going to do overseas? My mom said, let's go. Then my mom said, let's go. My dad said, no. Maiyegun after 2 years, Babangida banned the importation of wheat. He made the Babangida ban the importation of wheat. My dad lost his job, and that's the beginning of our problem. Everything, just one policy, one government policy, change the life, change our life.
Generations, yes.
I don't know if you remember, you might be too young then. He changed, he banned the position of wheat and said we should use corn and other things for bread.
It's still there. They are still doing it till today. That's why they give the license to Dangote and then just Dangote and Bua.
Yes.
Today they control
after they banned the wheat. My dad worked in a factory, Flamme, that used major sources wheat. So they have to lay off workers from manager. My dad was a manager. Everybody was laid off, and that from then we never recovered as a family.
God damn it.
I'm telling you, one policy, one single policy.
And do you know that government. It was also under that same, the year before that of Buhari, usually people like your dad, yourself, your dad that was working there, right? Yourself, your mom, everybody, right? If you wanted to go on holiday in the UK, all you have to do is he will just buy the tickets. Right?
I said,
and all of you will just pack your bag. As if to say you go Port Harcourt from Lagos. You just pack your bags.
There was no visa, nothing.
Until
no visa, nothing.
Yeah.
My dad came back with some dollars, some quarters, and some paper note dollars. Maiyegun, we are playing with the coin in the house, dollars. We are playing with it because it had no value. It had no value. I remember taking some quarters up to about $5 worth. As I went to the Malams to sell it, they bought it to melt it as aluminum dollars because it was 72 naira to $1 then, or something crazy like that. It had no value. Yes, it had no value.
Still there. I saw some whereby they were like, I think the naira was so strong, right, that the Nigerian exports on agriculture alone, is like times 10 of what crude oil could give to Nigeria. If not until the Gulf War of 1991, 92 or so, that Nigeria actually made so much money, right? From crude oil. It's called the $12 billion crude oil windfall. There were agricultural produce in Nigeria that were earning Nigeria billions of forex, commodity exchange, commissions here and there at the time. Then they ban export of Nigerian agro food and then importation of wheat and this or that, and everything collapsed since then. Look at Nigeria now. See it.
Maiyegun, didn't tell me that your pastor friends are all japa to overseas.
Which of them did you meet? Oh?
He didn't tell me that your friends, Kumuyi and Adeyemi, they japped already. On last Sunday video, I was like, really?
It is Adeyemi that is currently, that one left last year. And he said it's because
the wife,
they were having this dream that something was going to happen to them in Nigeria. And that was why they had to leave. So every Sunday, the members of his church, right? They start church in Oregun in Lagos and Abuja. So they will connect. He will connect with them through Zoom for the morning's devotion and service and all of. They've been running it now, CA, since last year. You just didn't know. I didn't know.
People they say Pastor Kumuyi and the wife too. They are not based in London too.
Well, somebody said that, but it was like an old video. I saw that. You see that video? You see that? Have you seen that video of Kumuyi that he was talking about them relocating to London to do the work? Yeah, right. That was August 2015, just about 3 months after.
And I said, how did I miss this? Did Maiyegun didn't pick this up or what? Or how did I miss this?
But it's an old one, so I didn't want to kind of use old video. And then you people are too smart for here. So so that's why I'm like, I could start now. People will be like, Maiyegun old video, and I would just be like, fuck. And I've already done that means I didn't do my research well. That kind of why it was when I was doing my research on the video, right? Then I discovered that it was uploaded 9 years ago on YouTube. Somebody lifted it up, and it seems to be kind of relevant to the discussion today, and it just went viral. And a lot of people just believe that Kumuyi has relocated, but that was 9 years ago.
I was wondering, how did I miss this news? Okay, now it makes sense.
I would have brought it now, trust me. Now. But I don't want to bring it here, and somebody in the audience will be like, Maiyegun, this is a 9 years old video. I'll be like, and you know what that does? CA. It begins to kind of place doubt in the mind of people like, oh, maybe this guy is maybe this guy is not even like what we think he is. So I hate that. I can make mistakes because I'm allowed to make mistakes. So sure you get.
So everybody makes mistakes.
I would not deliberately pass the wrong information. I won't.
Yes.
But thanks.
Thank you, Maiyegun. Thank you very much.
Take it easy, okay? Thank you, sir. Because that's something, okay? If I want to do propaganda, right? I will use the right information to do propaganda instead of making up something. Okay, that it makes one look stupid. I hate lying in that regard. It was my late grandpa that told me that anybody who likes to argue, if you are the type who like to argue, we don't agree for anybody. Then you have to make sure that everything you involve yourself, just do as much as possible. Okay, to stay above board. Okay, don't do something that you are going to have to lie. And then when they kind of discover that you are lying, and they know you are somebody who is always very strong-headed, you see how your face will come drop. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Maiyegun, this is unlike you. I'm so sorry that I lied. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that it was going to. Maiyegun, you are still lying. You didn't know, Abi, you knew. You just passed the information like that. I said, no, I didn't know. You are still lying. So, I would rather say my truth. And if you ever get offended, take it up with me. Okay? That's the way I live my life. And it works. You know, kind of work for me. And sometimes they said it's a sign of overconfidence. Like, what are you going to do to me? What are you going to do? No. That's not what it means. Okay? It simply means that I am willing to face whatever the consequences are for my action. And that's why I'm always very careful before I act, so I don't find myself in that position where I will have to say sorry, or we have to prostrate please sir. Ododi. So kakanye, I would rather be very careful never to find myself in that situation. Okay, so that's why I don't pass on information that I know. I actually do my own my deep background check on every story, because when I come here, I want to talk about what I found. I want you to understand what I found, and I actually want you to not just understand. I want you to feel what I found, and in that process, right, you could own it too. You get, like, you can easily just say, man, the way Maiyegun is reacting is the same way I'm going to react, because I understand what Maiyegun is, you know. So that's why I didn't pass that information. I would have used the video for just a fun part of it by just bringing it on and say, oh, look at Kumuyi so years ago. But it's not really useful for some of what I would love to discuss, okay? Meanwhile, I am going to leave us now. I'm going to go put the replay from last night on. So thank you so much, everyone, for this afternoon. I am going to see you later. But please, if you are just joining us, do like this or share it if you haven't. Okay? And good afternoon, everyone.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Maiyegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Maiyegun já wa sí. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Bó bá ṣe eré, àní Maiyegun máa wí. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré, wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Maiyegun Diary, Diary Politico. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Godfatherism, kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Maiyegun. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o, kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Àní Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ o, làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary, Maiyegun number one. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Maiyegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Maiyegun àní ẹ̀sùn rájú.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Kí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rájú.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rájú.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rájú.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Òkúrọ̀ olóṣèlú.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rájú.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o, Maiyegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀, Maiyegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Oníkanṣá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
Tẹnitẹni ọmọ Maiyegun ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù. Lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù. Bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sè mọ́bẹ̀. Èèpo ọ̀gọ̀ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́, ó ti jọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà. Àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o, ó kó ẹni tó bá dán wò á kàmù. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì o. Ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
Allow the children to handle the budget. It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay. She off your mind. Like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don off mic, and if we talk, na 500,000 they go sama us call am hate speech. but fear not. Maiyegun don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Can in the touchlight every corner. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai. Them be promise us say we go get light and power. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power. Over naira. See them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind. Oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dodo.
Hello there.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dodo.
Good morning to you.
Maiyegun ti dé o.
Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you.
Lórí YouTube.
From wherever you are joining us this moment. It is brunch time with Maiyegun. Share the broadcast after reading the caption and the description. Like the broadcast as well. Just before you settle down and get busy. Doyin Okupe just released, a video, which is a cutout from the interview he granted the channel's television program. So I have a copy. Doyin Okupe, was Goodluck Egbere Jonathan's special advisor. Then, when Goodluck Egbere Jonathan's time ended, Doyin Okupe became a friend of the EFCC for stealing. Then in 2023, Doyin Okupe became Peter Obi's campaign committee, presidential campaign committee chairman. Then he got caught up. So today, sorry for coming in late, okay? We have two segments on the program this afternoon. So we will be continuing the reading of our white malice, because we have other books that have also arrived, which I believe will keep us busy, catching up on the history that they probably would not be happy that some of this this younger generation are going to be interested now. And they are not just going to be interested in reading. They are going to be acting based on many of their discoveries. So yes, we will come back to that. That's the phase 2. So the first half an hour of this brunch time is going to be this blasphemy or blasphemous statement from Doyin Okupe. So last night, Doyin Okupe was on Channels Television, okay? And it was practically like the usual, where everyone is there to try and whitewash Thiefnubu. I don't think anyone is by any chance to be surprised anymore, okay, by some of those who pretended to be with you or fighting for a new Nigeria in a corrupt contraption and a corrupt system like that of Nigeria. So some of them are already coming out of their shell now, and many of you felt like, I can't believe this. Oh my God. Anyway, Doyin, I think he likes to be called evangelist, I've been a doctor. But let's call him Okupe. It is easier that way. Was one of the first set of people that left with Peter Obi when they left PDP to go and join which party? Doyin Okupe was, in fact, one of the ringleaders of those who negotiated the Peter Obi movement to Labour Party. You see, while the whole thing started, gathering storm, I think they just pulled his card, the card of his compromise. He is a thief, okay, that is hibernating. He should be in prison. For some reason, he's been hibernating here and there, off and on from court, like Faulishe, right? Now, it was like a redemption for some of them. You see, when obedient, if you're obedient watching me right now, this is not an effort to make you feel bad about yourselves, okay? Because a lot of you actually knew all these guys. But at the time, when all of you were having that rush, the rush for, yes, we can spirits, right? You considered even the confirmed criminals in Nigeria as allies, remember? And you considered their involvement in the effort to get rid of this criminal enterprise as a redemption for them. Doyin Okupe was one of them. So it didn't take long before they pulled the string and said, "So you are going too fast. So you are taking this thing serious." The effort is to try to sort of, lead him astray enough that this whole noise will die naturally. So the case of Doyin Okupe's corruption case popped up in the middle of the election or in the middle of the campaign. Cut the long story short, he was forced to resign from Peter Obi's presidential campaign or anything that has to do with Peter Obi at all. And he disappeared. Until after Yakubu made announcement of Kolu as your president-elect at 4 a.m. in the morning. Okupe never showed his face again since 2022, sometimes around there, July, August 2022. He never showed up again, even during the election and afterward, until after. And then when he came out, he was pretty much like coming to say, Peter Obi can never really win. Presidential campaign chairman. You are coming out now to say you knew that Peter Obi this or that. You get all kind of statements like that. Thiefnubu has been he has been dreaming to be president for 30 years. The obedient movement was just like, it can't just achieve and defeat such person within just 1 year. Coming from the man that was the arrowhead of those who ignited and activated the euphoria, the optimism that came with the obedient movement. The person that was one of those who turned on the ignition came out later to say, oh, it was never really going to be. Well, people were not surprised. Some were shocked, but many were not. It was like, well, it's like the case of a puppet and the puppet master, right? The puppeteer and the puppet master, right? So his corruption, then people were saying, oh, he was trying to avoid jail. But that was fair until yesterday when Okupe, you know what they say about old people? Sorry, foolish people also get old. It is true. And that is why you should never let anybody try to blackmail you or gaslight you with anything when you are calling out known, identified career criminals. Doesn't matter if they are old or young. Because you see all these young ones now who are crumb eaters, ass lickers, or ricers that you are seeing everywhere today. The younger thugs, the the younger criminals, political criminals who are aspiring to be like their mentors that they have everywhere today. One day they will grow too, and they would expect the lives of they were expected the millions of lives that they would kind of destroy to still respect them. You know that. So back to Okupe. I mean, if you don't understand that, that actually has to get you, if you by any means get angry, it simply means that you are a closet voluntary slave, and a closet would be career criminal, political career criminal, so to say. So that's why you're going to get upset. A very close person to me sent me a message yesterday, and the message is from somebody who's like an Elegbon, who lives in the US. So he kind of was asking this my close friend to try and talk to me. Why don't you just try and talk to him to stop calling Thiefnubu? And that one responded that, well, sorry, I can't really tell him, but you can pick up the phone and call him and tell him yourself on his program. Egmon, if you are watching, you should pick up the phone and call me and say to me yourself, I should stop calling Thiefnubu, because it doesn't portray me as Omoluabi. Egmon, your generation is the reason why we are here today. And one of the things that we have done, or we are trying to really do, is to remind all the young ones not to listen to people like you. Majority of you don't know that if you are in your 50s and you are in your 60s or you are in your 70s, you do not have any right to advise us anymore. I think it is time for some of you, the elderly ones, to understand it. And when I say advise us, I mean you do not have any right to gaslight or blackmail us into believing that somehow you earn any respect that will make us respect those who are responsible for the tragedy that we have today. You do not have any right to tell us how to speak, what to say, when to say them, and you should drop that nonsense about respect. Your generation never respected us. I'm talking about those of you who have friends in all of these political stores for years now. Many of you made your money from them too. So you do not have any right to demand respect from us or tell us or define what is Omoluabi to us. Because majority of you are a bunch of criminals yourselves who just escaped justice because of the place you are. You told us, you the older generation, you told us that we must kind of be godly in our ways. We must be honest. We must avoid anything that is criminal. We must protect our names and the name of our families. But today, you are biased. You are baufos, agbaoshis. You are trying to tell us now that it is all right to be drug dealers, right? It's actually okay that we could skip schools and forge certificates and give ourselves any kind of academic title that we want. Is that what you are saying to us? Right? So what you are saying to us is that it is a good thing to feel comfortable in looting public fund and impoverishing the people in the process. As long as we can get away with it and share the money with some of you, that is the Omoluabi Abi. That's not Omoluabi. And therefore, Egbon, if you can, pick up the phone, and I'll say this to you myself. Because people like you don't have any reason to advise us. You have no right to even tell us that we have no respect. If you respect yourselves, you won't leave that trash of a country, and you will never support those who are actually making it worse. So say that, my dear brethren, if you see any elderly person telling you that you have no respect for these rogues and criminals, tell them that if they feel offended, well, they should possibly do the right thing and talk to their friends. Because right now, our future, just the same way you mortgage the future of your own generation, you have been mortgaging the future of the generation since after the ones after you. Look at this generation, the 5th, 6th generation after independence. We are now being led straight into poverty. More are going to be led into poverty. But you are offended because I call Thiefnubu. If you are watching this, I told him to give me your name. He won't give me your name, but you know yourself if you watch this, because it seems you can't stop watching me. And that is why when I say things on MaiyegunsDiary Politico, okay, I say them because I know those who are closet supporters of these criminals. When you come around and talk about how bad the whole situation is, they are comfortable with you. They want you to talk about the problems. They don't want you to talk about the people behind the problems. And even if you have to talk about the people behind the problems, they want you to do so with respect. How dare you demand respect for somebody like us? With a trashy country that you have left, a divided country that you have left. So your generation is an irresponsible generation. We are grateful to those from your generation who have kind of like, they discovered that and they've known their place. You do not have any right to advise us. Continue destroying it, and we will continue calling it out until the entire system that sustained that madness is totally destroyed. Do you understand? So don't ever let anybody blackmail you or gaslight you, demanding respect for criminals. When they say any stupid things, respond to them in the like manner. They do not deserve any respect. These are people who have no fear of God when it comes to, they said when a country that has their leaders, the leaders actually plan for the future generations. It's only Nigeria that you have criminals who's only planning their life every day is the next election. While lives are being ruined, then turn around and say, don't you have elders at home? You lack home training. Don't you know that Omoluabi Yoruba doesn't talk like that? She Omoluabi Yoruba defend, is it the right thing for Omoluabi Yoruba to defend a drug dealer, to defend certificate forgers, to defend the treasury looters? Is that Omoluabi? If you are still watching. However, the likes of Donyo Okupe, they are also elders. Okay? Elders Alatenuje. You will see some of those you see today. Already, that's why I said that what you have in Nigeria is the collection of, criminals of all kinds, right? In charge of the country. running it, or should we say ruining it, and at the same time, right, wanted to be respected. You can't have it both. We are not stupid.